don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mentorship Monday. Hi, Maren.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Mentorship Monday with Maren and Michelle, with Michelle and
Yes.
Maren.
Yes.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I have an update for you.
Love it.
So the fairies slash
Yes.
birds via the fairies
Yep.
they came back and set perfectly placed things like 2 or 3 more times.
Yep.
And then they've been back every day, except now it's just getting to be like a scattered mess, kind of the way like I would expect it to
Yep.
be, you know what I mean? So I have a picture for you. Um, so now this is like the scattered mess. So they're just, it's kind of, you know what I mean? And I think there still might be fishing line, but I don't know. I can't remember.
But still no video. Like you've got
Nothing's caught
video
on video.
there, so it's not
Nope.
picking up on anything.
Nope. But then what's really weird is on Friday, the video went crazy. And like every minute we were getting someone's in your backyard, someone's in your backyard, someone's in your backyard. And you'd look and there'd be like nothing on camera.
Isn't that interesting?
It is
Because
really
even if it was a bird, okay, so like let's just debunk this for a second, because even if it were a bird or birds that were setting it off, you would catch something, would you not? Like,
I think
has it
so. Yeah, you
caught
would see
birds
it.
before?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you would
Especially if
see
they're
something.
flying and
Yeah, like they're not just going to come in, like you would catch the tail end of something, or you would
Mhm.
get, uh, yes, tail end. Okay, so Eric is here, and he's pretty playful this morning, so
Okay.
I imagine he'll be butting in and saying a couple things this morning. But I think it's really fascinating to me, because I think, like we talked about last week, there's a couple different kinds of fairies, and I do feel there's more than one kind around you, and more than one kind communicating with you. And did you have a chance to meditate or communicate, or you did? Yeah.
Yes. So I saw 3 different types. So you're correct. And I saw them all like once or twice, or not once or twice, two or more times. So like it was like I'd see it and I'd be like, oh, I remember seeing you before, you know?
Yeah.
And so the first one was like this lady that looked like a traditional human. She looked like older, and like an old grandma. And that kind of was like, I don't know if you could be a fairy, but what she was, I don't know, I picture fairies being like young, like, can they look old? I don't know, but she looked old. And, but what made me think she was a fairy was that her dress was flower petals, like coming up, like it was almost like she was blooming out of this blue flower. So like you could just see like flower petals, like right here. And the reason why I think she's a fairy and not a person is because like there's no like earthly material that could be it, just the it was so light. It was literally the texture of a flower.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it would have to be like thick silk or something to be like that for a human. It was
Mm-hmm.
literally like that soft, feathery, flowery, petal
Right. Right.
material. And so definitely think she was a fairy. And then the second, this was 2 of them that came together. They had like silvery bluish skin, and they had scale, like a little bit of scales on their body, and like the silvery bluish would be like a fish's like silvery blue color, like they were like kind of like a metally color, silvery blue. And they came as a pair, and they were showing me how they dance. And I said, what do you like to do? And they said they like to dance. And they like would dance like this, like very like a wooden doll kind of, but it was like really
Yeah.
fast. Like it
Yeah.
was all their little, the super fast, and it would like go together, like their move would be paired together. So,
Synchronized, yeah.
yes, so that was very cool. And then the third one I saw was I didn't notice her skin color because her eyes were so dramatic, but she had like a round face and she had kind of like bug eyes, but they were bright blue. And she had like
Mm.
stringy hair, like you talked about before, and like ears, big ears that came up out
Mm-hmm.
of it. But then her teeth were like sharp and jagged. And
Mm-hmm.
she like, like because, and so it's kind of like, oh, like, what is that? But,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're a creature, so you can have teeth like that. I didn't get a weird or bad feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
like a little troll, like a little and some of them are maybe a little bit mischievous, but definitely no is actually a very playful feeling, you would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. It's really interesting, and I think you're going to have um quite a few beings come to visit you through meditation. And the other thing is too is it's like because you're open, like you're curious, um you're not afraid. And you know, a lot of times, and I'm not saying there's something wrong with this because there's not, everybody's at where they're at, but a lot of times when someone's working in meditation, I've had people say this to me, well, I'm in meditation, I really want to see these things, I want to see, I'm seeing colors but I'm not seeing images. And I don't know what maybe you would suggest to somebody for that or for their meditation practice, but fear can block out a lot. Like if we're saying, I want to see this, but I don't want to see this. Right.
Mhm.
And it's remembering there's nothing that's coming to scare you. A lot of the things that do or things that we could see are not really what we think it is in the first place. And again, I think that's a message for somebody that's listening is not to be afraid, and not to be afraid if you see jagged teeth or you see something like that. Just like we talk about everybody in the world being different everything, whether it's your hair color, your body size, your skin color, bumps on your face or not to be afraid, to really see beyond that,
Well,
feel
I think,
beyond
yeah, it's like if you're trying to contact an angel and the angel has jagged teeth, then watch out. But you're trying to contact like a being that, like, to me, kind of is like an insect. Like, have you ever seen the close-up photos of like the insects? They look scary.
Yes. Yeah,
You
and
know what I mean?
that's kind of what it feels like too, doesn't it? Like that kind of
Yeah, like I was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but you
mhm.
still are really kind of cute
Yeah,
and nice and sweet.
yeah,
And I have an open mind about that. I'm not going to immediately say jagged teeth is this because that's Hollywood's conditioning for us, But
yeah.
if you actually look at nature, they're more, it's more varied, and maybe
Mhm.
they need those teeth for whatever they need
They
those
might
teeth
need
for.
those teeth for working with wood,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that particular being, what I'm getting right now is a lot of trees and
Yeah.
wood making, even what they're eating. So,
Yeah.
it's possible that those were there to make furniture. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's
Yeah.
really interesting. So this is quite the little saga of Maren
Yeah.
with the fairy realm and the unfolding
Yes.
story that's
It is a
coming
very
up.
unfolding story.
It
Yeah,
is an
to see
unfolding
where it's gonna
story.
go.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad you shared that with us because I was curious to hear if they had come back or what had happened. Very
I know.
interesting.
Oh, and so the one with the jagged teeth,
Yeah.
kind of funny because I remember you said they liked sweets. So,
Yeah.
the one- my so my birth for my birthday every year, my husband gets me cookies from this bakery,
Yes.
and
Yes. And you just had your birthday.
I just had my birthday. Yes,
Happy birthday.
thank
Yes.
you,
Yes.
thank you. Last Wednesday.
Yes.
And so my husband went to like my favorite bakery to get my favorite cookies. And there was a sign on the window that was like closed today through, or like Wednesday through Friday or whatever. And so I know, I was
No.
like, no. know. And so, and then she's closed on Sundays and Mondays. So like Saturday is like the day that you have, which is today that we're recording, is like the day that you've got to get the cookies, right?
Right.
And but I had completely forgotten about that because like who would remember that? That's so random. And I've got like a million things I'm doing today. So it definitely was not on my agenda, but I was contacting I was like, Fairy, are you around? And that one with the jagged teeth. And let's not concentrate on the beautiful big blue eyes. Okay, we'll say that. Um, uh, was like I contacted and I was like, oh, and then and immediately she put that cookie thought in my head, and I was like, oh, the cookies, I've got to get the cookies. And then I was like, did that just like randomly come to me, or was that from the fairy? And then I was like, no, they like sweets, like that's got to be from the fairy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever he or
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah.
So I
It's
thought that
it's
was really funny.
amazing. It's amazing. Also, it never gets old because listening to you talk about this and my own experiences, and I hope it never does ever feel like regular to me, but it always excites me when I hear it.
Yeah.
Like it's exciting and it's so fun, and I love the stories. I love the experiences that I've had. And I love hearing yours and other people's experiences. I think it's so much fun. But I love when just the way that we can just they pop things in our mind, and really how subtle that is. So if you didn't know, so if you can look back at other times in your life and see how things may have popped in your head, and you might have even thought, wow, where did that come from, or where did that idea come from? But to really see how easy it is, really how easy it is to receive information, but it is so subtle, right?
Yes.
It's so subtle. I'll just say this really quick because I'm itching to say this when you said it popped in about the cookies this morning when I'm in the shower. I'm, doing my shower stuff, and of course I always talk about how the shower is like that's where a lot of stuff happens for me. They come in the shower and talk to me. Well, in my head, I'm hearing that song, "You're Simply the Best," dun, dun, and I'm like kind of singing to it and going to it, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, who sings? That's Tina Turner. Tina Turner sings that, and Tina Turner just passed,
Oh, I
right?
didn't know that.
Yeah, she just passed a few days ago, and
Wow.
so I had a very brief interaction with her. And so when I heard the song, and I'd asked her to come see me, so I had put the call out there and said, hey, if you're interested, I'd love to say hi, whatever. So like, let me know. And I forgot about it. Just kind of, you know, and
Right. Yeah.
in she pops. And what she did, because I do a lot of my like energy cleansing in the shower, do that ritual. So the message she gave me was, don't forget to thank your backup dancers.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, she goes, don't forget to thank your backup dancers. That you're, see if I can get it right. You're the people that support you that don't get the credit. The people that support you that help you put things together. And she was showing me like people in my family and all different people in my life that help me be who I am. And she goes, so don't forget that they are so important. And in comes, like in my mind's eye, I can see her, and she was wearing what looked like a like kind of a whitish silver dress, and there was like a little coat. I would say she looked very reminiscent to like the 80s. Like her hair was huge,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
um she had like a little bit of a fringe, like you could see the movement with the fringe all
mhm,
over. But when she was talking about the backup dancers, they came spinning in together. Okay, so there was maybe about 6 different dancers, and what she showed me was they were like spinning and they were cleansing me, like they were taking
so
the energy and
cool.
cleaning it. And it was a very brief, like it wasn't a long drawn out. and this is something else too, and maybe you could talk to this with your experience, but when when we have these moments with spirit, it can be a lot of feeling, visual, intent, like very quick interaction, and then it's gone again. Do you understand? Like, does that happen? Do you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
that too?
Mhm. Oh,
So even
yeah.
like as we're telling it, and as I'm saying this, the way that we're repeating it almost sounds like it's this long communication,
Right.
but it's not. It's actually
Yeah.
very quick. It's like that download of that thought. So starting with the music, recognizing the music, and then getting these quick images, quick
Yep.
flashes, and then that little download of what's happening, the message,
Yeah.
and then out she went again. And
Yeah.
no goodbye, no nothing like that takes place. It just was gone.
Yeah. I think that's really good to point out because sometimes too, I'll be like, was that really real? Like you think, because especially watching like channeling Eric, it's got to be this 30-minute or 20-minute or hour long, conversation for them to be
Yes,
validated. But that's not
yes.
true. Yeah. They can come in and
And
come out so
that is
fast.
true. And that's something that I think is really important, because I get a lot of questions about that, about the experience of how I'm perceiving Eric and what exactly is happening in that. And what I can say for myself is that when I work with Elisa, Eric is very easy to work with, and a lot of that is that connection. It's like having that grounded wire. It's a very open and easy conversation. But with Eric, it's like uh, continuous flashes. So rather than it be, um, so whatever spirit say is there, whether we're having a conversation or bringing in spirit, when Elisa is speaking and say she's asking a question from like from blog members or from YouTube, she's asking the question, Eric's already starting to give a visual. I might be getting like a download of a sentence or a word, or depending on whatever it is, but it's in flashes. That's how I explain it. Everything's kind of working at the same time, but it's these continuous stepping in. It's not really this verbatim back and forth. Not for
Yeah.
me. Not for me. Maybe it's that way for other people, but for me, it's just that it happens quickly. It does happen
Hmm.
fairly quickly, and the more you're used to it, as you're speaking it, you're unfolding it.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like
Hmm.
as there, so, and this has a lot to do with, like, for me, my strongest ability is my empathic ability and my clairvoyance, the inner eye. So being able to see images, and well, clairsentience, to know, like, I know that what I'm getting is correct. Like, I might not know
Hmm.
exactly how this is all coming in, but I know. So that mixed with the visuals that I'm getting, and I mean, Eric is Eric. He does things a little differently than a lot of other spirits. So, would it be the same if I was channeling in that same way with another spirit? I don't think so. I think that's just the whole magic of who Eric is, and really what's happening, you know. But I will say my main ability being empathic is that what I'm getting visually, I'm feeling a lot, or I'm getting a lot of validation in my body. So I might be saying in my head, is it that way? Or yes, I'm getting yes, and like getting some details in that way. So when it's coming back out of my mouth, I'm unfolding the different ways that information has energetically come into me. I'm doing the unfolding, right? So, and
Yeah.
that just takes practice to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely where um, I'm getting there because I totally feel that like it's like I'll have these, like even if I'm just meditating for myself, it's like I'll get this image and then this image and then this image, and I'll hear this and I'll feel this, and I'll, it's very dynamic and it's very quick, but for me, where you can like unfold it as it's happening, for me, I'll like write it all down and nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I'll like go for a walk, and then it will all like put into place and it will all make sense. And it'll be like, well, like one thing will be like, why did they say that? Did I get that wrong? But then like once I go on the walk, it's like, I would never have said it another way. Like,
Right.
or,
Right.
like it all kind of unfolds together and
Right.
gets put into place. And,
Right.
yeah, it's really cool. But yes, it is. It's not like I see, Eric and he's sitting there, or some spirit and they're sitting there and they're just talking to me like you and me are doing this on Zoom. It's like I might see them for a flash, but then the next flash is like a memory that they're showing me. And then the next flash is like to highlight, this specific thing about them or this specific thing. And
Exactly.
then it just goes, it's not physical. Yeah, it's just really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. But I can definitely see, um, like when you watch it and you watch somebody doing it, I can definitely understand why we would perceive it in the same way that we communicate with another human being. Because, our emotions, our emotions and telepathy and all those things are our natural communication. The
Mhm.
energy has its natural way of communicating without words. So
Mhm.
really that's what we're doing. We're doing all of that without words, but there's still a when Eric wants to say a certain word or get a certain word across, we'll get it. We'll hear it. Or
Mhm.
or a phrase or something like that. Um, but just like we were talking earlier about the blue people, right? We're talking about the blue people, and Eric gave me a visual of blue people sitting in
Oh yeah.
Kentucky on the front porch. And just for context,
Yeah.
Maren and I were talking about galactic energy and different galactic beings, and we're talking about the blue people. And Eric just made a joke, and he says, "Well, there are blue
Well,
people right
well,
here on Earth."
we didn't know it was a joke at first.
No, we didn't
So
know. We didn't know. Yeah,
I've been contacted by the blue people and I want to know who the blue people are. But every time I Google the blue people, I get a random article, or I get like, wiki fandom, or like Marvel fans, or, Avatar fans. Like I can't find an actual person that thinks that they've communicated with blue aliens.
but
But you
there
do
is stuff on
Google the
there.
blue
Yeah,
people, there's
yeah.
this article. And so go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, and so Eric shows me these, they're people. They look like human beings and they're blue. And the visual he gave me, I saw a quick flash of a group of blue people sitting on a front porch on like rocking chairs. And so I just said to Maren, I'm like, no, like he's saying there actually are blue people here. And like he's actually showing me human beings that are blue
And I
that
was
are
like,
sitting on a rocking
Michelle,
chair.
I already know this. That's the one article when you Google blue people, it's the Kentucky blue people.
Yeah, yeah. So
They've been, they have some deficiency in their blood. Their
yeah,
blood is blue and it shows through on their skin. And so they're blue. And the article on the internet is them sitting on their front porch with
yeah,
their blue skin.
yeah. But I've never seen that before, seen the article before. So Eric was being funny. I'm like trying to see, like, what exactly are you showing me here? Like, what is this? And Maren's like, did you see that? Have you seen that picture? I'm like, no. And that's an example of how it's just these quick flashes, right? But yeah, and that's we were saying part of why we were talking about that is because Maren, myself, and many of us are um, starting to have a lot more communication with our galactic family, and for me, the one that I communicate with, I would say the most is my tall white friend, and that's Adrian. And I
I'm
can feel
sorry,
Adrian
really
right now.
quickly, the Kentucky Blue people.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Um,
Sorry, I
Adrian,
interrupted you.
no. Adrian, I can feel his energy, but Adrian is the tall white, and I met Adrian um around the time that I channeled the tall whites. And so every now and again I will communicate with him, and he's very funny, but he likes to communicate with everybody. Like he's very very friendly.
Well, Adrian, you'll have to come say hi because I have not had any white aliens come to visit me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, Adrian,
Oh,
come and see Marion. Come and see Maren.
step back. I may have. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, well, he knows you. So
Okay, I know that I'm like, because it's so funny. I say that, and then I'm like, wait, just the other night, I do feel like as I was closing my eyes, I was like, oh, there's a traditional alien.
and what's really strange about Adrian, and I've painted pictures of him before. Um, but Adrian shows himself as light, like a lot of gold and white light, but I can see extremities that come out of the light. So like I'll see like these long arms and these long fingers, like really long fingers. So I'm sure at some point I'll have more unveiled to me, but I
Okay,
don't see him as a whole. I
okay.
feel him and I hear him, and he's got a very I remember just in saying this, I remember when I channeled him with channeling Eric, and I don't do trance mediumship. I've had trance experiences, but I'm not trained in trance. And um, I think when I did that with Adrian was probably the closest I've had of having a trance experience when I was channeling him with Elisa, and I could feel his energy merge with mine. And I was very present and listening, but my lips were so numb. And he just talked and talked and talked. And the voice I was hearing in my head was very like, ooh, like this really weird, was very bizarre experience. That was the first and probably the last time I've had it quite like that. I've had other experiences where I felt spirit merge with me, but they're not people's loved ones. Oh no, that's not true. I did have more than one person with a loved one. Just briefly, I felt them merge with me. But this particular way is like the only way I can describe it is I was listening, like I could hear what was going on, but I felt like I was following the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just I wasn't like waiting for a response and repeating it. It was more just coming. So it was a little bit different with him than how I've experienced it with others. But your blue people are Palladian, but I mean, there's also blue people, Arcturians as well that are blue, but I feel a lot of Palladian energy with you.
So
Um,
funny that you say that because when you said that they'll guide me to like what the information I need to look for. So then, of course, the next day on Instagram was this like Galactic Federation lady, and
yeah,
she writes about the aliens, and she's like, "You might be Arcturian if, you might be Palladian if, you might be blah 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 if." And I read the Palladian one, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like me." But the images I didn't know like she would have like a picture of them and they were like, they had blonde, like white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. And I was like, well, that's definitely not a blue person. So I didn't know if she was just, no one
did
looked,
did the blue
none of her
people that
alien
you
pictures
see,
looked
are they
wrong.
bald?
The blue ones are bald. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so the one that I was telling you about that I got the image that was
Mm-hmm.
part of my guides, treasure, that's the name. I don't know if that's the name that came, that I tend to call her, because I've not heard anything else. But she's bald, She's all blue and she's bald. Not a speck of anything on her body. It's just blue sheen is what it looks like. And like she's thin, um, no shoulders, like kind of like they slope down a little bit. There's a little bit of a thin neck. Um, the eyes aren't huge, but they are darkened. You know, darkened in the eye. I don't see them as huge, but they are a
Right.
little bigger and darkened. Um, and they are Palladian. Treasure is Palladian. Now the thing is that the Pleiades and Palladian, there are many different subtypes. What Eric had shared with me before is that if we say Palladian, that's like saying American or Canadian. And so if we think about, you know, where you're from, not everybody looks the same. There are so many
Or
different
Earth, if you
types.
say Earth.
Or I'm
Yeah.
from Earth. Like,
Yeah.
okay, oh, you're from Earth, so you must know John. He's also from Earth. I know him.
Mhm.
Like, um, Eric's just laughing and saying that think of it as many of the different star systems are like there's hybrids, so they're like cousins. So it can be cousins. So you could have somebody who's a little bit Palladian, a little bit Arcturian, and in one way or another, we all are connected to the cosmic energy. We're all connected into galactic energy, but we're not all of the same percentage. Do you know what I mean? Like we all might
Mhm.
come from it at one point, but some of us do hold more of a galactic frequency. And at the end of the day, I mean, it is all the same, yes, but um, there's a little bit of Arcturian in you. So I can pick out the Arcturian, Palladian. Um, I can't remember if we said this last week or not, but the what keeps getting repeated in my head is Vega. Vega.
There you go. Okay.
So maybe
I
do
don't
a
think we
little
said that
research
last time.
around that, see what you can find. Um, but there's so much about like the more I learn about the star systems and about a lot of the different beings, the more I'm like, I don't know. There's so much I don't know because it's just a completely uh, a very vast, and there's so many different beings. Like just the handful that I've known in the last year, there's so many different beings that I've not contacted or connect, like they've not contacted me, but I've had awareness of in one way or another. And have you, other than the blue people and maybe Adrian, if that is Adrian that came to see you, but have you had any other visitations, or what is it that you're curious about with any of that?
Um, well, I guess I just, yeah, like want to know where they're from, and I want to know why they're here. And I mean, I figured, okay, they're here because I'm a person that can like perceive them, right? Like, so of course they're gonna come. Um, but it's funny because so when I first started entering into the spiritual world, they say like, oh, the first thing you should do is get to know your spirit guides. And they like meditate and then just say like, who's around me or who's guiding me or whatever, or who's on my team. I can't remember what the question was, but so I like closed my eyes and meditated, and I was like, who's around me? And I saw like all these people, but I saw one blue person. And I remember like that stood out to me because I was like, I must have done this wrong, because why is there a blue person? And they were totally, yeah, they were thin, like you said. They were walking away from me. Like everybody was just kind of like just around me, and they were walking away, so I didn't see their face, but I saw them and they were blue, and I was like, aliens? Like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's the blue guy that's related to Buddha or whatever. I was like, who's this blue person? So I think they've been around me for a while. So I just, yeah, would love to know um more about them. And maybe, we could do a whole show on them when
Yeah, and I think that would be a good idea because that's something that like we could get pretty deep into. So I
yeah.
think we could, but I will tell you one thing that I just heard was that you're also seeing a blue being that is you. That is another
Oh,
version of you, another aspect of you, of your soul. Um, and you do have communication, nighttime communication. Uh, not every night, but that one that you saw, it's coming across as I say it as female energy, more of a female. Um, but I think that would be something really good to investigate. Maybe what we can do is get either Treasure or Adrian or somebody that will join us and do a session. And you know what? Actually, here's a good idea, guys. In the comments, let's do a show on the galactics. Let's do a show on our galactic history, and we'll investigate with Maren's. And do you guys have questions? Because there's something
yeah.
you guys would like to know, because we could delve into it. Like,
That would need to be like a series, like a
I
three
was just
show.
gonna say, I'm like going around, I'm like, God, there's so many different things that we could go to. And I'm thinking, do we really want to get into this at the end of the video? Like because we've
Yeah.
got a shorter time today. But I guess it's already been a little while. But anyway, so is there anything else though that you wanted to explore today or talk about before we go? Because today is kind of just a little bit of a
I know, a little bit of everything day, huh?
potpourri of like what's going on with this. Let's check in. Yeah, that's what it feels like. A little
I'm writing that down.
potpourri.
Potpourri.
It's a potpourri of
Um,
things.
it's a potpourri of things. Gosh, putting me on the spot, Michelle. No, I've loved the fairy energy. I'm so
Yeah,
excited to keep pursuing that. Um, I'm excited about my um mediumship abilities. They keep
yeah,
opening up, so that's great.
yeah. They really
Um,
are. They really are. Like it's incredible to watch you continue to expand. Like it's amazing. It really is.
um,
Yeah. Thank you for
it's,
sharing everything with us because that's just
oh,
it's so helpful too because I know that there's so many people watching that are working on their mediumship and their communication and everything, and I really think that the most helpful thing that we can do is just share from our heart our experiences. And like just with that little conversation we had with talking about the flashes and the images and how it comes in and quick, like those things I think are so valuable to share, and to share with other people, to really help each other, to help each other, you know not miss those signs or not doubt those things are not part of it.
mhm.
Because
Or like I'll tell you, I had a reading
yeah,
this week, and it was after work, and so I was like working all day, and I was like, man, I didn't really feel anybody by me today. Like, I hope this person's gonna show up, or like, I hope the reading's gonna go well. And then I just like had to tell myself, they've never missed. They've never not shown up. So, I don't think they're going to start doing that now. And so I had the reading and it was great. And everyone showed up. And it was just kind of like, you just marvel at that. Like, wow, that is just so cool that like I can just go about my day and then I'm ready to like open up and they're there and it just blows me away.
it does. And that's also a reminder too that we do half the work or a quarter of it. We take care of ourselves, our meditation, our our center, our reactions, our actions. We work on our own vibration and deal with our own stuff, whether it's shadow stuff, things that come up, triggers, anything that we need to deal with in our life
Mhm.
as we're healing. That's our responsibility. But by doing that, all you have to do is it's the integrity, the commitment for showing up for the good of somebody else, of spirit, the good of everybody. When you show up in that energy, when you show up in the energy for the purpose of healing and love,
Mhm.
those spirits will show up. And all you have to do is just be there and be willing and open to share what you're receiving.
Yes,
Mhm.
which is scary, but
It is. It is.
I
But
know, well, that's the thing is like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like,
no, it's a little bit. It stopped. It stopped. Maren, can you hear me? I wonder if everybody can see me
you.
when it freezes like this. Oh, there we
There we
go.
go. I can see you and hear you.
Okay,
But I
perfect.
was just thinking, like, if this was any other like type of job or work, and I had this, important event, I would have already written my thought points. I would have prepared. I would have
Yeah,
studied if it was a test. I would have had my paperwork done or my lines memorized or whatever it is. And this
yeah.
is like, no, I just have to show up and like you say, be an intention, take care of my energy, do all of that. And then like this amazing thing is going to happen. And it's just unbelievable.
And it does every time. And it's always perfect to what was needed in that moment. Always. It always is. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just so thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for sharing that with everybody because I
Thank you
know how
for
valuable it
teaching
is.
me. Oh my gosh,
You
every day.
teach
This
me
is
too.
so
And
wonderful.
guys, I say this, I will always say this. We're really all learning, but Maren has taught me so much too, because Maren's experiences help trigger little thoughts in my mind and helps me dig a little deeper in my own journey. So thank you. We're doing this for a good reason, not just because
And
we like each other.
and and you just helped me like expand my awareness because if I was going through this fairy journey without you or these blue people without you,
Yeah.
like I'd just be like, well, I'm ready to check myself in now, like
Well, girl, if you were ready to check yourself in, then I would have been checked in a long time ago.
right. But it
So
helps when you're like, oh my
yes,
gosh, I saw that same person, or
yes,
I've seen that too, or that's this, or and then it's like, okay.
yeah. No, it's all good. Well, I guess there's something that just came behind you. I don't know
Oh,
what
really?
that was, but there was like a
I,
little something.
I think it was the fairy with the sharp teeth because the whole cookie image and her just like popped in my head.
Okay.
And like an image of me breaking off a piece of the cookie and putting it out into the garden. And I literally was thinking, do I really want to share it?
Oh my God,
Um,
you have to just take a little piece and share it and
I'm
just
going
see
to
what
have to do it
happens.
now.
See what
Yeah,
happens because clearly she wants some.
I
Clearly
think
she
so.
does. Okay, I just love that. I love that. Stay tuned until next week to Fairy
Yeah.
Story Part 3. Continuation.
Yeah. Does she eat the cookie?
Yes, yes. And put down your questions, guys, for the Galactics. And oh, and we have coming up too, just as a little I can't remember if we said this last week or not, but we're having a guest medium come on. And I've got to double check the date, but um Michael Christopher, evidential medium, is coming on with Maren and I, and he's going to talk about his awesome journey and his very inspiring, amazing story. And he's going to share with us about his mediumship and his experiences and what he does. So Maren and I get to ask all kinds of questions, and so we'll post that with the date and everything for you guys because I know Michael and I worked it out, but I don't have my calendar here, so we'll post the
Okay.
date so that you guys don't miss it. But yeah, here, happy Memorial Day to you. and
Thank
all
you.
my
I hope you
US
had a
friends.
great Queen's Day or
Yes,
Victoria Day.
Victoria Day. Yes,
Victoria Day,
we
okay.
did. We did. Yeah, it was good. So take care. Go feed your kids something to eat. I'm going to do the same. And we'll see each other next week.
Sounds good, Michelle.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye.